Good afternoon, everybody. Hope Mrs. finds everybody well. Welcome back to the Built for Pressure podcast, and thank you very much for joining in. This is the last podcast heading into 2025. I'm currently shooting this in that weird, strange gooch bit of the year between Christmas and New Year. And what I wanted to do is give you something actionable. What I didn't want to just give is a standard stereotype. Here are my lessons for 2024. What I want to show you are 5 key power plays for you to take yourself, your team, your business to the next level in 2025. And for you to actually build some structure and strategy around them rather than just trying to find it through my journey. I want to give it to yours. Those five pieces of the puzzle that I want you to start looking at. Number one is actually reflect and assess. There's two sides of this coin that many people don't actually understand, and that's that they run everything through their emotions, and their emotional decision making is the reason why they lack clarity and certainty, or they're super hyper focused on metrics and they don't understand the person behind the performance. It's a double-edged sword. Whatever I do when it comes down to metrics is I put them into 3 buckets. I have the personal piece. Does it make me feel excited? Do I have ease within my journey, and do I enjoy it? From a physical standpoint, there are obviously physical metrics that if you're an ex-athlete like I am, I have my strength, I have my conditioning, and also I have my body composition. Which actually my body composition, people get this twist and they associate just body composition as in just body fat. My body composition is my health metrics too. So I take things like blood pressure. I don't often take fasted blood glucose, but I do sometimes. And my HRV and my stress metrics, I use that within my physical parameters. And then my business performance is I split that into 2. I have the metrics. So this is what you're going to find on the spreadsheet, whether it's net turnover, whether it's top line, whether it's revenue, whether it's profit, whether it's churn rate, whatever it is. But there's also how I've operated inside my business. And obviously we're using objective and subjective feedback mechanisms for that. How did it feel? How did it operate? How easy was it? Was it a case of that I found when we're looking at high performance, we're always looking to basically find flow and find that easy piece where work doesn't really feel like work anymore. And something that I've learned, I will go into later, is in relation to in my second year of being in business fully online, how actually I let my emotions run my business and how I found that extremely turbulent. Whereas when you find the art balancing them, you find that a lot easier. Most of you should be using an after action review. That should be a daily, and then it should be a weekly thing. You should be reviewing your months, your quarters. And if you're not already doing that, which most business owners, CEOs and executives are, most are just doing it from a metric standpoint. What I want you to start thinking about is ask yourself the truth and assess from a personal standpoint, a physical standpoint, and also from a professional one. Some other little metrics inside that you could look at: what gave you energy, what took energy away from you, what unexpected turn of events did you have, and did you actually respond to them in the right manner, and what patterns are you seeing? These are all part of your reflective process, looking in on what's happened and how do you want to alleviate that pressure heading into the new year. Number 2 is most people do is they look at the outcome. And what they don't associate that is they don't understand the processes underneath and the person they need to be able to exhibit that level or to operate at that frequency. Me personally, in my second year of business, my first year of business, I 250% X'd my business from starting basically bootstrapping it all the way through to hitting my first milestone from a revenue standpoint in November. And then I found it extremely lost. I got to this stage 2 years ago. And do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to double my business. Now, those that are bootstrapping a business who are highly ambitious and want to push themselves, they throw out high audacious goals with the virtue of feeling they have the self-belief to do it. And I fully believe I have the capacity to do it. But what I didn't do is I didn't associate the actions needed and who I needed to be at that point to actually operate at that level. So in that year, I still hit a good revenue target for me. But what I didn't do is I didn't do it on my terms. I finished that year burnt out. I finished out stressed. I felt lost. I had no direction. I had no clarity on what I was trying to achieve. And what I actually needed to do is totally step back. Realize that when you're in a leadership performance space, you need to develop. Then your business and process needs to develop. Then you need to develop, and your business and process needs to develop. And in that sphere, the number one thing that you need to look after is you. Whenever you're looking at outcomes and you're looking to achieve more, do more, be more, grow, have more impact, have more freedom, make more money, whatever it is, to operate at that frequency, what does it actually take? Who can you see and you know is doing that? And what I've done throughout my whole career is pay somebody to teach me how to do it. Because this year has been the easiest year I've ever had in relation to business. Not because the work's been easy. Just to be clear, we're getting into this position where people think that earning, as in dominating business, is an easy task. It is the blood sport, and it is extremely difficult. But leading myself on a mission and knowing exactly who I am, what I do, and why I do it, that's the most important piece of this puzzle. And it was easy for me to do so because I shut off all the noise, because I was on a direct mission. I was aligned with what I'm trying to do. Built for Pressure is going to change the game for the leadership performance space. We are going to be a totally different animal to what's out there at the moment, because most people are focusing on the business or the revenue or the systems or the tactics, where what we do is we help the person inside the performance. That is the key to opening new levels of leadership, new levels of expectation for yourself, impact for yourself, freedom, and more to the point, you being able to rise to challenge. So what I say to you is for you to commit to a higher frequency, for you to commit to actually being to operating at a higher standard. It's not about the outcomes. It's about the daily, weekly, monthly tasks that you take, that you need to get into your process to do so. Number 3 is, and maybe I should have put this first, but I'll put this third, just purely just because it was this thing coming into my head, is you have total responsibility for your personal standards and your mental health and well-being. For you to have bandwidth, for you to operate at the level that you want to operate at, for you to dominate your business, for you to achieve, high achieving individuals want everything. We want to live life at 100 miles an hour. And what we don't want to do is back off. But what most people do is they allow their business situation or peers or other people within their process to dictate them inside their performance. That's why there's so many business leaders who are in terrible shape. Their health is diminishing. Their well-being's all over the shop. We've got a mental health pandemic purely on the basis that what most people do is they're too busy scrolling through Instagram, looking at the highlight reels of people's lives that they don't even know and comparing themselves rather than focusing on them. You have an active, committed process to high performance if you want to be a leader in 2025. You have to not be putting other people's stuff inside your box. You do not want to be that person that is allowing other people to dictate your happiness and your bandwidth purely on the basis that you haven't serviced you first. So if you are heading into the next year and you've got no system and strategy around you, your physical well-being, your mental bandwidth, and also what's your passion project, what's going to keep you in the game, and something that the psychologist forgive me, I can't remember his name now, the psychologist for Mark Cavendish was asked, and he's a neurologist, and this guy's a super high level. Forgive me, it's really annoyed me, I can't remember his name. He said, what's the number one dictating factor of elite level performance? And he said, having fun in the process. And actually you having fun throughout your journey and looking after you seems to be the most selfish thing out there. But if you want to survive in relation to what this, as like I said, I'll tell you now, business in 2025 is a blood sport. I relish it. I was like that as a rugby player, and now the arena is business purely on the basis that I want to work with people that want to achieve mental things, because why the fucking hell not? Excuse my French. I want to work with people that are highly driven and pushing themselves to the limits, and me personally too. I have huge expectations for myself, but the number one thing that keeps me in the game is making sure that my house is in order. My health is in check. I'm physically capable of achieving the things. I'm pushing myself when I need to. I'm also there to be a role model as a parent, as a spouse, as a husband to my wife, etc. All those things all encompass. It's my responsibility. Number 4, something again we'll go through pretty quick, is the name of the game for 2025, and a huge power play that most people aren't doing is playing to win. If I was to give you endless courage and self-belief, how far could you seriously go? If you actually backed yourself 110% and had no fear, had no imposter syndrome, had no procrastination, lack of decision making, all this other anxiety, all this other stress related stuff, have you had none of that, and you were purely every time you took action were making decisions and had conviction that you were going to fucking dominate, how far would you go? Then what I want you to do is write down those things that you feel that are holding you back from not playing to win, and ask yourself, are these the truth? Nearly every single business owner that I work with has one thing in common. They're relentless in taking action. When they're scared, they make a play. When they're tired, they make a play. When they're stressed, they make a play. When they need help, they make a play. When they don't need help, they tell me to fuck off and they keep going. My point though is they're playing to win. I see too many business owners playing the game of not to lose. And a lot of people play lip surface to that. This is quite a common thing in the mental performance spaces. You got to play to win and all this other shit. Like there's a difference between you actually actioning that and you talking about it. I have huge self-belief that I'll figure it out. The people that I work with are not finished articles. I've got people on my books who are talking in multi-millions. Stuff I said out of a cartoon. I've also got people that are chasing the Olympic dream. And they've got barely any money. The one thing that they are playing is they're playing to win. Why? Because if you give yourself an option to lose, you give the option to back off. That doesn't mean at all costs. That doesn't mean that you sacrifice your family. It doesn't mean that you sacrifice yourself in the process. What that means is it's a perception shift. It's a frame. Am I doing this to dominate it, or am I doing this to just put it out there? If you're currently with some of the businesses that are using social media, you're either playing the game or you're doing what I'm doing, which I'm making my own game. The reason why I'm making my own game is because I stand up for something that not others are talking around, because that's just something that aligns with me. That doesn't mean you need to do what I'm doing. What that means is you need to find a thing that gives you passion, energy, makes you want to fucking get after it and absolutely be relentless at it and stay in your lane. Because this relates to the last one. Play number 5 is trusting your instinct. Usually, you're right. But if you're wrong, the key thing to understand is you've still got momentum. A rolling stone gathers no moss. The more plays that you can make, the more that you can put yourself out there, the more that you can actually find, look, search for help, the more that you can interact and immerse yourself, be connected with your current process and be connected with you and those around you. Trusting your instincts is imperative because your gut usually isn't wrong. There is not one person that I've ever worked with that has not been good enough. They just won't give themselves the audacity, and they won't have the courage to lean in and do the actions needed for them to fucking send it, purely on the basis that they haven't backed themselves yet. There are another part of some of the other customers that I've worked with and people that I've worked with in other different spaces are the opposite. It's just part of who they are. And that's why they're flying high. But then there's new levels, new devils, and the higher the mountain, the thinner the air, the less people are up there, etc. They need a different type of process. And what we talk around is finding that edge. And finding your edge is a personal thing. I always talk about this within all my coaching processes, is that you could be measuring against a billionaire or someone's bootstrapping a business on cash underneath their bed. It does not matter. You need to develop trust with yourself. How do you do that? Do fucking hard things. It's the reason why there's such a huge boom of physical stuff and people doing physical challenges. For me, physical challenges are an emotional regulation exercise. Physically, I've done some dark stuff and I've pushed myself. And have I got to my limit? Never. But the expectation that I want to stretch my capacity is because I believe that if I stretch my physical capacity, my emotional capacity comes with me. I develop trust with myself, and I'm an extremely mentally tough person because I refuse to give in to this fact that there are other people doing the thing that you want to do and they're nowhere near as talented as you. So if you're leading other people, the key thing to distinguish is you need to be very self-aware. You do need to trust your instincts, but you need people in your corner to make sure that you are ready to make the right decision at the right time when it matters the most. Because what I see too much are those that are following other people and making the wrong decisions at the wrong time. Or those that are being hyper aggressive because actually if you take their mask off, they're actually quivering inside because they're scared of making a wrong decision and they don't want to be found out. Modern day leadership in 2025 is for those that are willing to lean into pressure, are for those that are willing to be in the middle of all this and relishing the fact that they get an opportunity to. Because the way that you lean into 2025 is how you're perceiving pressure. I hope that makes sense. And lastly, off a caveat of that, massively appreciate everybody who's been love and support for this podcast so far. I've got an amazing guest next week, Kira McCullough from Holistic High Performance. She's coming in. We're going to be running that one. Trust me, that's going to blow your minds. Lastly, PS. I know some people may be struggling with their vision currently and they're not quite sure how to do any reflective practice and process. If you follow me on social media, Instagram, Will Foden, or you follow me on LinkedIn, I've been putting out our leadership power playbook, which is for 2025, which I've been giving all my clients. I'm handing that out for free to those who are committed to the next step. You don't need to give me your email. I'm not going to send you ClickFunnels or whatever. What I want to do is build a community of like-minded people who trust the process, who want to find the next 1%. And if that's you and you've been struggling, reach out, DM me in any of those contexts. And obviously, I'll send you that for free, no questions asked. And obviously, I like to get to know you. Anyway, gang, if I don't catch you before, Happy New Year. If I didn't catch you before, Merry Christmas too. I've said that before, I think. And lastly, I'll be catching up with you in the new year. Take it easy and I'll catch you soon.